Hi there, and welcome to Hyundai Power Products. My name is Adrian, and today we're going to look at the HYM480SPR roller mower. So I've laid the contents of the packaging out on the table so you can see exactly what you're getting. When you're lifting the main mower, which is this part here, out of the box, be very careful not to damage these cables. Probably best if you get some assistance to lift it out of the box, as it is quite heavy on your own. So here we have the mower with the upper part of the handle. We have the grass bag here. There is a bag of fittings that you will need to put it together. This hoop-shaped grey metal part is the lower handle. There's the bottle holder that goes on the upper handle at a later stage. And finally, the user manual. Now I do recommend that you read the user manual thoroughly before use. So the first thing we're going to do is to fit this lower handle. I've gone into the bag of nuts and bolts. And I've pulled out two of the short bolts with the nuts on the end and two of the longer bolts with the black knobs, and that's what we're going to need for the lower handle. So yeah, the two short bolts and two of the standard bolts. There are four of these, but we only need two for this. So you will notice that this lower handle has a pigtail on it. This needs to go on the right hand side of the mower, which is the same side as the recoil. Okay, so again, being careful not to trap any of the cables, we're going to fit one of the short bolts with a nut on through from the outside into the upper hole in the bracket and through the square hole in the bar. And I'll just put a nut on the inside loosely. So exactly the same thing on the other side, taking care not to trap the cables. A bolt through from the outside through the hole and just put that nut on loosely. So moving on, you'll see that in the bottom of the lower handle are two holes. For the taller operator, you need to be using this hole at the very end here, and obviously for the shorter operator such as myself, we will use this hole. So I'll use this hole. So I can lift the lower handle into position and fit the bolt there. So I'll now fit a washer on the inside and a nut on the inside. And I'll tighten that one up. So I'll do exactly the same on the other side. The bolt from the outside in, fit the bolt on with the washer. Again, being very careful with these cables. And tighten down on the nut. So now I can tighten up these nylock nuts no need to over tighten these, just tighten them down until the lower handle is hard against the bracket, and you will feel the resistance when you get there. So now I'll tighten up the other one on the other side exactly the same. So taking the other two bolts with the black knobs on out of the packet, I'm just going to slide that one through that side, from the inside out this time. And then I'll carefully lift up the upper handles, taking great care with these cables as I said. And I'm just going to slide that half of the handle over that bolt, put it there to locate, put the bolt in this side or on my side, again from the inside to the out, on with the washer. Just get the nut started. I'll drop it down into its user position. And tighten up this bolt. Exactly the same on this side. On with the washer. On with the nut. And tighten up. Okay, so that's the upper handle attached. So a little bit of tidying up. I just remove these little plastic clips off the lower tubes and fasten the cables in place on the handles, one on that side, that's the cables in place out of the way of the grass bag. Going back into the little bag of parts, you'll see the two black plastic pieces here. We call them Monopoly houses. They look like the houses on a Monopoly board, and they need to be fitted in these two holes here underneath the rear flap. There we are. So that's one here and one here. Okay. So another little job to do is to fit your bottle holder up here. Okay, in this area. You'll see in the bag of parts that you have two screws left, and you have two holes, one in either side here and here. And again, as you'd expect, simply start the two screws, carefully line up to find the two little holes. There's the one. Just get it started with my fingers. There's the other one, and we'll tighten those up with a Phillips screwdriver. Just supporting this from underneath with one hand and tightening down the screw with the other. So that's one side. That's both sides fitted. So a final little job to do is to connect the cables. Now there is a little instruction here. There's normally cable tied onto the handles here, but I'll actually show you how it's done. So you'll see you have an upper cable and a lower cable. The upper cable goes onto this front handle, and the simplest way is just to pop the end of the handle out of the handlebars, bring it down towards the cable, fit the end of the cable through the little loop, and reattach the cable here. Exactly the same with the rear cable, or the lower, out of the hole and back in. So that's the basic assembly done. Next we're going to move on to putting oil in the engine. Can I just say at this point that it is vitally important that you do put engine oil in the engine. It's shipped to you with no engine oil, and should you attempt to run it with no engine oil, well, the engine will give up very, very quickly indeed. So engine oil in the engine, we shall show you how to do that. So to put engine oil in the engine, we need to remove this filler plug here by turning it anti-clockwise a quarter turn, and we can remove the dipstick and filler plug. So the engine oil gets poured down this spout here. So let's just talk about the engine oil. So for the engine oil, you can use a 1540 or an SAE30 petrol engine oil, such as this one. Now these bottles here are 4-stroke SAE30 petrol engine oil, which are specially recommended for Hyundai power products, are available from our parts department. So this is the oil I'm going to use. So if we look at the dipstick, you'll see a letter L on the bottom. It's very difficult for me to show. A cross-hatched area and another line with a letter H. We need to fill the oil up on the dipstick to the letter H, the high mark on the dipstick. So I've got a little bit of paper towel at the ready, just in case I should spill some. And as I said, I'm going to very slowly pour engine oil into the engine. And I'm giving it time to run down the filler neck. Hence why I'm going slowly. Okay. So I started off with 400 ml. I've got about nearly 200 left in the jug. So I've put about 200 ml in. I'm going to have a little dip. I'm going to allow time for that oil to run down the dipstick. We should be okay now. Place the dipstick in the oil. And we're just showing on the low area there. Nope. So a little more oil. probably put about 300 mil in now in this particular mower. Probably went a little bit quick then. Just wipe the dipstick. That's gone down. Test it again. A little bit more, I would say. Okay. That's on the high. Yeah. You'll notice I'm not screwing the dipstick down, I'm just placing it on top to test it. And we've just got up to the H mark on the dipstick. Okay, so that's correct. So this particular mower took very nearly 400 mil. Your mower may take a little more or a little less. It depends how much residual oil is left in the engine from when it was tested during manufacture. We got a little bug. Yeah, we got him. So that's the oil filled. So next I'm going to put fuel in the lawnmower. So the fuel filler is here on the left hand rear side of the engine. Unscrew it anti-clockwise and I can remove the fuel cap. So using fresh unleaded petrol, I'm just going to put about half a litre in. That's around half a tank. More than enough for this purpose. Always do this outdoors or in a well ventilated area, away from sources of ignition. And obviously stop the engine before refueling and if possible allow it to cool down. Okay, so replace the filler cap by turning it clockwise, screw it down firmly, and that's the fuel filled. Let's have a look at a few of the controls on your lawnmower. This front handle here is the OPC lever, operator present control. Think of it as an on-off switch for the engine. The engine will run and can be started when you pull the handle back. When you release the handle, the engine will stop. This rear lever is the drive engagement lever, and obviously when you pull the rear lever, the drive will engage and your mower will be self-propelled. To stop the mower, simply release the drive lever. So you would be driving along with both levers pulled, release the drive, release the OPC, the mower will stop going and the engine will stop. So this handle on the left hand side of the handlebars from the operator position is the start and run. Fully forward is the choke position for cold starting, and then once it's started back into the run position. So it's purely a choke. Fully forward is for starting with a cold start, and fully backwards turns the choke off and it's for while the engine is running. So the lever here on the right hand side has a tortoise and a hare, as you would imagine. Fully forward is to run the engine at its maximum speed, and fully back is the slowest speed or idle. Here on the right hand side of the engine is the recoil starter. And again, this is where this pigtail comes into play. If I pull the recoil out, I can tuck it into the pigtail, and that puts the handle in a convenient position for the operator. On the rear right hand side of the mower here is the single point height adjuster. Now this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions. From the very highest cut that would leave the grass the longest, gradually going down, 2, 3, 4 moves to the lowest position for the shortest grass. So from the bottom to the top, it can be adjusted at one single point. Very quick, very simple. So let's look at a cold start procedure for your lawnmower. So we need the accelerator fully forward on max, the choke fully forward on max for the cold start. Pull back on the OPC lever and start the lawnmower. There we are. As you saw, once the mower had started, I dropped the choke fully back. I can adjust the engine speed on this lever as you saw me demonstrate, and then to stop the mower I released the OPC lever. For a warm start you would not need to use the choke function once the mower is fully warmed. So as you can imagine, it's not fully warmed after that very short start. Again, same positions, choke on, lever back, start the lawnmower. Let's look at fitting the grass bag. First of all, a little bit of assembly of the grass bag is needed. You'll see these little plastic strips. They just peel out and over the top of this metal bar, as you can see. So yeah, we'll just thread the plastic strips over the little metal bar. There we are, and that's all the assembly that's needed. So to fit the grass bag, you will see underneath the flap we have the two Monopoly houses we fitted earlier, and the grass bag hooks over on the outsides of these. So I'll simply pick up the grass bag, hook it into position and close the flap. Well, I do hope you found this demonstration useful. For more information on this or any of our other products, visit www.hyundaipowerproducts.co.uk. I've been Adrian, and happy gardening.